Hi, it's Ed Cohen. I'm your broadcast host on Global TV Talk Show, which is a news service of globalbusinessnews.net. So we started this video series as a result of reinvention and reskilling, my own, and out of a need for survival after our live conference business went poof in early March. And so now we're doing these video conferences, bringing people together from across the world to share ideas, to network, and hopefully do some business somehow together. It's who you know that counts, but I'll tell you what's even more important is who knows you, okay? How much do you want to share with people? Note this is a live broadcast. We will be doing some editing when it gets ready for on demand, which will then be available for 12 to 15 months going forward. And that's where most of the audience will be around the world. Not today, but going forward. We do this by design because it's very, very special. We want to make sure this show is proper for everybody involved. So it's a win-win. So the programs are put together to exchange ideas, to bring people together, as I mentioned, and hopefully you make a connection. So I want you to all feel free to use the interactive chat, which is right there and available. Exchange website, email, questions, whatever. Feel free to do that. It's very okay on Global TV Network. Okay, so I want to show a brief commercial of our series sponsors to date. We are in talks with several others, but right now, these are the sponsors for today. Okay, Paul. Okay, so Brian Hageman and I met on LinkedIn about a year ago, or maybe even more, and we've had a LinkedIn relationship. It's been great, and he is an inventor, a scientist. He's also the CEO of a corporation called Deluge, and Brian, please intro yourself a lot better than I just did.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the introduction. I appreciate the show. This is a great show. And the title, the genius part of it, I guess I need to mention. I when I was in elementary school in Ontario, California, that's where I got tested in third grade. I think it was third grade. They give you a state test in California, and I was put into this mentally gifted minor program because I was a borderline genius in third grade. So I guess I qualify. I've gotten a little bit better since third grade, but that's fun to be part of that club. But yeah, thank you. Over the hour here, we'll talk a lot about my technology and other things. But I first realized this potential for this new kind of engine when I was working in Saudi Arabia. I lived there for 2 years, and my job was to finish construction on big pipelines in oil refineries. And we had a problem with the sun heating up the pipe and heating up the water inside of the pipe that I was using as pressure testing fluid to test the welds and everything, the pressure worthiness on pipes. And while the pump was shut off, after I bring it up to 1,000 PSI, turn off the pump, the sun would start heating up the water and create this new pressure that we'd have to bleed off for the inspectors to get there to have the right pressure for the inspection. So I realized there was this potential of expansion of liquids inside a closed container, and went on over the years, many years, to design that into a 4-cylinder engine. And it works great. It's a wonderful new type of power source that uses actually 90% less energy to put out 4 times more torque than an internal combustion engine.
So we have a video that has been produced that we're going to show. It's 16 minutes, so it's a little long. So we're going to show the first part where Brian gets into what this is all about and the necessity of this and the timing and the science behind it and some of the support. So it's going to take a few minutes, but we're not going to watch the whole 16 minutes because some of the minutia is just not relevant. But at around the 10-minute mark, Brian, you get into a wonderful, easy to understand display about pipeline taking water out of the Gulf of California, um, mixing it in to the system with the Arizona Canal from the Colorado River as a replenishment, and then taking some of all that through your invention, the desalinization impact, and then reusing the water into irrigation in Arizona fields. So it's fascinating. So Paul and I have discussed this. So we're going to show the video, and then I'll say when I think, and Brian, you can correct me, but I'll say when I think we should uh, skip over to about the 10-minute mark where you get into this graphic display of
Great.
practicality. Okay, Paul, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to watch my presentation today. My name is Brian Hageman with Deluge Technologies, and this was produced for the chairman and commissioners at the Arizona Corporation Commission and the stakeholders at the Utilities Division Resource Planning Group. Today, I'm going to be talking about sustainable solutions to make Arizona energy self-sufficient using my invention, the hydraulic engine that has zero emissions and can run on solar thermal, geothermal, waste heat, or any other heat source. My hydraulic engine is an engine that runs on hot water. It uses expansion of liquefied gases in reservoirs similar to a thermometer. The basic principles of the hydraulic engine concept are that liquids expand when heated, and liquid CO2, liquid carbon dioxide, doubles in volume over the temperature range of 80 to 180 Fahrenheit. The liquid is expanded and moves pistons with a hydraulic force. My hydraulic engine operates silently and produces zero emissions. It requires 90% less energy to produce equivalent power. It employs industry standards, proven components, and is manufactured from non-toxic recyclable materials. It's energized by solar thermal, geothermal, or waste heat. The hydrothermal power conversion is 4 times greater torque than normal engines. It's applicable for hydraulic and electric power, desalination, and liquid pumping, and the hydraulic engine is made here right in Arizona. I've proven that the technology works, and I have validation at world laboratories. The Department of Interior lab, the Yuma desalting lab right here in Arizona, tested our original desalination equipment. The Department of Energy at Sandia National Lab in New Mexico validated horsepower on a dynamometer at their testing lab in Albuquerque. The Department of Energy Rocky Mountain Oilfield Testing Center in Wyoming proved my engine can run on geothermal power, and tests there proved that I can pump crude oil out of the ground using geothermal power. The Indian Institute of Technology in Madras, India, did over 250 solar water pumping tests there in Chennai, India. And the Federal Laboratories Consortium gave me an award for outstanding technology development based on the work I did in Wyoming. And this type of award is not easy to get. First off, you have to have a technology that's been proven in the field, and my technology has been proven many times.
Okay, Paul, if we could skip over to about 10 minutes.
The technology has gotten a lot of university validation also. Here at Arizona State University, of water. the Buckeye waterlogged farms in the area. There's a lot of farming in Buckeye, and I plan to install 6 million gallon a day desalination plants that will provide pure drinking water to the farms so they can produce crops that are suitable for human consumption. Right now, they have a lot of farms there, mostly producing cattle feed and horse feed, hay and barley for the horses there. But they can produce much higher catch crops with the installation of desalination systems along the Buckeye waterlogged area. Once we have all the farmers with all the clean water that they need, we'll build a large desalination station at the end of Buckeye and keep the water that now runs off underground. We'll keep that water here in Maricopa County and pump it through a pipeline up to the Central Arizona Project Asiampa Pump Station, and that will feed water into the canal, supplementing the Colorado River water in the Central Arizona Project, and wheeling the water down the canal to customers anywhere in Phoenix or all the way down to Tucson. I've been looking at water pipeline projects in Arizona for a long time, based on this report in 2004, written for the Arizona Department of Commerce. It was written by the Battelle Institute and included a couple deluge signature projects, one of them being the Arizona-Mexico pipeline and desalting station. I proposed that we take water out of the Gulf of California in Mexico, run a pipeline to run the salt water from the Gulf of California up to Yuma, where we'd have our desalting station inside the U.S., inside Arizona, and desalinate the water using solar thermal power, and then using solar thermal power, pump the water up to the Central Arizona Project in a 100-inch diameter pipeline. This would supply a huge amount of water, and we in Arizona would never have to worry about water any time in the future. The Gulf of California is an endless supply, connects right into the Pacific Ocean, and we can have as much water as we ever need using a project like this to help supplement the Colorado River water that's being used in the Central Arizona Project now, which is going through a low period in water availability. But I believe that's cyclical. I believe in the next 50 to 100 years, that level of the Colorado River will go back up. We also plan in all of our desalination projects to use that reject salt. There's an issue with what do you do with all the salt after you desalinate water? There's a reject stream of heavy salt brine that has to be dealt with. And I'm planning on drying out that water and making rock salt and using that rock salt in our thermal storage. It'll be a part of the thermal storage that we use for a 24-hour operation. And then any other salt left over actually could either be sold or put into the landfills. I've talked to engineers at the city of Phoenix, landfill engineers, that told me as long as there's no traces of arsenic in the salt, this salt could be just put in the landfills. That would solve a huge problem for the desalination industry. They just need to dry out that heavy salt brine. The city of Phoenix is also looking at pipeline projects. The drought pipeline is for the drought contingency issues, and they want to pump water from the Salt River north to supplement water that they feel might be slowed down by the levels in the Colorado River. My suggestion to them is that, build these pipelines, but you need to use our deluge solar water pumping for any pipelines and not place any further strain on the electric grid by using big electric motor pumps. In conclusion, any Arizona water projects must use Arizona solar thermal power. Hydraulic engines with solar pumps will make Arizona water sustainable. The Deluge Technologies hydraulic engines are made right here in Arizona, and projects can be funded with Arizona banks. So let's make Arizona energy self-sufficient. I love Arizona, and I'm doing everything I can to make Arizona energy self-sufficient. Thank you very much for your time, and have a great day.
Brian, that's brilliant, and I congratulate you. Let's go to Dan Cunningham. Dan and I have had conversation about this a few weeks ago. Dan, meet Brian again.
Hey, Brian, how you doing, brother?
Great, thank you.
Good. Love to connect. I mean, doing some pretty interesting things on my own through the technology world, but also working with a group, Circularity Edge, on some global initiatives, Aruba being one of them. And there's a refinery there that we're working with about 500 acres to potentially turn into more of a self-sustaining island with energy. And also they have a desalination plant there right now that's run it's run on obviously oil refined into fuel. And when Ed told me about your project and what you have, it's a no-brainer for me, to look at this technology and see if we can't actually figure out if we can't get it into what we're trying to do with Aruba. Great idea, great and very genius idea, brother. I love what you have here.
So while we have you here, Dan, tell us about CubeMonk and the genius behind that.
Genius. I'll take that. Yeah, just because I'm looking at the abundance side of everything, right? It just comes through me. And basically, I would say CubeMonk is a great company, and what we've done with the marketplace, to kind of tie in today's transportation network on a global scale. The containers also, ingenious idea. But where the real technology and the genius comes in is the devices. We've designed something called a Guru device, Global Ubiquitous Reporting Unit. And the device, actually, we can use it for anything, but we've been building and testing for the past 7 years. The past 2 years, we've been utilizing containers where these devices go inside. They report the real-time analytics of the surrounding conditions that any shipment finds itself within. But it also allows, tied to our platform, for any asset with the right set of rules and machine learning tied behind it to optimize and maximize efficiencies, reducing carbon emissions and maximizing bottom line profits, because it's all automated. The containers, as we've tested them today, actually route themselves. They're constantly looking for shipments and loads to keep themselves full. We have a reposition engine that's built into the algorithms as well, where they'll actually hitch a ride to where they need to be for the next load on their own. We're kind of like an Uber pool type structure. And we're very, very excited, Ed, about where we are today and where we can go with this technology, tied to not just containers, but cars, trucks, whatever the case may be, any type of asset that needs to be optimized and managed for maximized use. With today's machine learning and the analytics that are available to us, it's almost limitless and endless what we can actually obtain and do with this type of technology going forward.
Okay, I don't know what that noise is in the background, so I'm sorry for that. Thank you, Dan,
Apologies,
very
guys.
much. Julie, you're asking a couple of questions of Brian. I can't hear you. Oh, we lost Julie's audio.
Now.
Okay, good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So, one of the courses that we teach to high school students is entrepreneurship, and how you can kind of think bigger outside of the box and look for the needs 5-6 steps ahead. So obviously this is a huge need in Arizona. The water supply is always an issue. And even in different parts of California, New Mexico, different parts of the world. But the first thing that came to my mind is maybe the pushback that you're getting from oil companies, or are you getting any other kinds of opposition besides just the initial cost of getting this pipeline created?
Thank you, Julie. Those are great questions, and I'm really excited. I just left a virtual conference 5 minutes before the show started today here with a group called the Rice Alliance from Rice University in Texas, and participating in the 3-day conference, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday conference, were all the major oil companies and their venture capital arms from those oil companies, talking about that they finally get it. They've got to invest in clean energy, and they've got to clean up their act. And over the last 30 years, we've been telling them this. They're finally getting it. And I have a meeting later on today with a venture capital group from one of the world's largest oil companies. So they're interested. I'm going to make a presence in Houston. Halliburton, many of you may have heard of a Halliburton company. It's an oil service company worldwide that's starting up a brand new lab called Halliburton Labs in Houston. And I have a meeting with them. I'm hoping to get presence in their lab to start other verticals with my technology besides water desalination in Arizona. But I'm working with city management in Buckeye on that project. It takes a lot of education, and for me, what I'm trying to do is not sell the technology. I'm trying to sell the water. So I'm needing to act like a water company, which I'll be doing the paperwork in Arizona to become a private water company regulated by the Arizona Corporation Commission. And as a private water company, I'll be doing my own desalination and selling water to the farmers and to the city. And if you saw that pipeline coming out of Buckeye up north, that whole area is called North Buckeye. That's going to be developed to the size of a city of Scottsdale, that right now is less than 1% developed. But the reason they're not developing is because they don't have any water. So my water at a great desalination price is going to be well accepted for expansion of real estate in North Buckeye. Other projects like that, I'm used to building big projects. That was my career in the past, was building huge oil refineries in Indonesia. I built the biggest propane butane gas plant in the world in Saudi Arabia. And then back here in the United States, built 5 nuclear power plants at San Onofre, and out here at Palo Verde, I built all 3 of those as a construction engineer. So I'm used to big projects. I guess as an entrepreneur, I have a valuable background in knowing how to build gigantic projects, energy projects. And now I realize that some of the best minds in the energy business are in Houston, in the oil company. And to go global, I need that kind of expertise, global energy companies that understand how commodities work worldwide. And water is just another commodity like oil that in the future is going to be more expensive and more valuable. And my technology as a vertical in Arizona that I'm doing will be taken worldwide through venture capital efforts.
So in Carlsbad, California, which is just north of where I sit today, there's an energy plant that's being developed as a desal plant. But I'm sure they're not using your technology there because everybody's complaining about how expensive the whole thing is, how much time it's taking.
Yeah, and the price of their water is about $2,000 an acre foot, and that's San Diego is being supplied by desalination from Poseidon, another desalination plant in coastal California. They have to use electric motors to run their high pressure water pumps, and that uses up gobs of electricity. And that's where I come in. I don't use electricity. I use the sun or geothermal to run our pumps. So it's eliminating that electric cost in their operating expenses makes a huge difference in the price that I can sell the water for. Like I said, they're selling water for $2,000 an acre foot. If I sell it for $500 an acre foot, I'll still make tons of money.
Oh, Godspeed on that. Okay. Carlton, very quickly introduce yourself and your innovation of helping small businesses.
Awesome, great, thank you. And Brian, by the way, congrats on that project. That is definitely genius. That is genius. So my name is Carlton Hoskins, and I am the founder and I Do Systems. Can you
Carlton,
hear me?
there's something wrong with your sound. It might be in the system that you have. Paul, what do you advise about Carlton's sound?
Let's try something else.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Was that it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, little fix of the headgear and I'm good. All right, great.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm the founder of I Do Systems and co-creator of software called Pillar 5. And we created this software to help small businesses achieve sustainability due to the large failure rate of businesses since 1990. 76% of businesses fail before they reach year 10. And so we know that this epidemic of failure has been around for over 30 years. And that the reason that this happens is because most business owners don't have a coach. Secondly, they don't have the instruction manual for developing a sustainable business. So the moment that someone says they decide that they want to be an entrepreneur, they kind of get this big puzzle box with 5,000 pieces with no picture on top and no picture on the puzzle, and they just pour it out on the floor and they go, put it together, right? If you put it together, your business is successful. And so the odds of them putting that together is about 24% of those businesses actually do that. So therefore, these small businesses are failing in droves and business coaches are unable to help them. And the educational system is trying to give them as much information as possible, but they can only give pieces of the puzzle. So our software runs off of an algorithm which identifies the life cycle stage of a business and provides the actual steps that it needs to take to get from seed stage all the way to maturity and exit. And so it is called Pillar 5. And we've been in development of that software for over 18,000 hours, 5 years. And we actually just went into pre-launch last month on August 10th. And we're getting a warm reception by the larger organizations like the SBA, the SBDC, BBOC, the Better Business Bureau, the Chamber of Commerce's. But primarily, we look at business coaches as the doctors for the business entrepreneurs. And so we want to provide those coaches with the tools they need to serve their patients. And so that is what we've created, and I'm super excited about getting it out to the market.
Oh, that is really cool. Julie, talk to us about your school, the bridgeschool.net, K through 12, fully accredited, 20 years old. What kind of science courses do you teach?
Oh, man. So I love this. I'm a math and science type of person myself. So I love hearing all about the new technology. It's very interesting to me. But within the Bridge School, we offer K through 12 international education, like Ed said, but we do offer the higher level honors and physics courses. We offer AP biology, really allowing students to get into the deeper levels of the sciences that they need to know to get into the colleges to learn just this information.
So cool. Mark Colo, what do you think of all this?
I love it. I love it. I love new ideas. I love innovation. I've always believed the innovator to die. So I like these ideas. I like these spaces that people are filling. I've tried to do that myself throughout my career. I started in this industry in van line services back when I was fairly young, for some 40 plus years ago. And I went into this industry because the prime interest rate was at about 16%. Later that year, I think it went all the way up to 24%. So there weren't too many homes selling at the time, so I had to find some kind of work to put food on the table, so I went into the van line industry. Little did I know, when you enter the van line industry, you die in the van line industry. because you get kind of hooked with all the changes and all the fun things that go with that industry. So I've kind of evolved over the years, and I've tried to recreate myself. First move I ever did was moving a family to Bend, Oregon. It's the only family I've ever moved to Bend, Oregon in my 40 years. So that was kind of interesting. That was my first move. Then I got involved in commercial moving products. Today I'm involved moving researchers such as Brian here on our call today. In fact, I moved a scientist from University of Arizona by the name of Doug Granger. I don't know if you've heard his name before, Brian, but they refer to him as the spit doctor. And they call him the spit doctor because he's an expert in saliva. He can take a sample of our saliva and he can determine within a very high degree of accuracy the odds of an individual acquiring a neurological disease or chronic illness.
Wow.
It's a lot less invasive than taking a blood sample. But this remarkable niche I've been in for the last 5 years. I've probably moved 85 scientists in the last 5 years, each one of them in a fascinating niche. So that's been fun.
Gee, maybe they'll turn the spit into tests for COVID.
That might be the solution, Ed.
Yeah. So Dan Cunningham, you started in the moving truck business, right?
Yes, about 31 years ago.
Yeah.
So I know the business well, Mark, and you're right. Once you start, you can't get out. I went into the tech side and I kept saying I was going to do other tech. And no matter what, somehow I'm always tied to moving and storage. I do a lot of other things now, but moving storage is still in my blood. There's so many changes in that space that happen on their own. But through technology made available today, it's even easier to stay involved. So yeah, I understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's just evolved.
So Brian, is the State Department, Arizona State Chamber of Commerce and Manufacturing Council, are they helpful to you?
Well, you need to know how to use the state government offices as an entrepreneur. Right now, like I did the presentation that I just made for the Corporation Commission, it gets to those commissioners. I know they watch it, and they that's advance notice on my becoming a water company in Arizona. So they'll see me in the future as soon as I get my credentials for the water company and a construction loan for building my first plant. I'll be eligible then for conversion to green bonds. In Arizona has a green bond program for environmentally advanced water technologies. And those green bonds have to be approved by the Arizona Corporation Commission also. So you need to get out in front of these types of entities, knowing that down the line that they're going to be an important part of your future. So I do that. I used to sit on the Manufacturers Council for the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, and I stick close with those guys. They monitor what I'm doing.
So I'm sure you know that there's desal plants in Israel and Saudi. Is this a target for you as well?
Oh yeah. Israel, I've got a similar pipeline project that goes from the Gaza Strip up to Palestine, right through Israel, and it'll deliver water to Jerusalem. Saudi Arabia, where I used to live for 2 years, that country uses more desalination than any other country in the world. The desalination capital of the world is Saudi Arabia, and all of their facilities are approaching 30 years old. They're ready to be retrofitted, upgraded, and I expect my technology is going to work right into their desalination plans in Saudi Arabia.
Well, this has been fascinating, Brian. Thank you for being our leader here today, and I wish you very well. And whatever I could do to help from a PR point of view, I'm certainly available. And please come back again. And if you want to, come on the show and talk with others that I happen to attract, just let me know, and I'll keep you informed as we roll out this what I call Genius Innovation Series. So thanks very much, Carlton. What about your next project? What are you, other than trying to work with me? What? So, what? What's hot for you? What's coming up?
What's hot for me is different industries. Here we go again. Can you hear me?
No,
No?
no, it's muffled.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, now.
Now you can. Now I'm gonna take it off my head.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
All right, good. So what's new for what's in my vision is different industries. So I've been receiving phone calls over the last week since your first show. So thank you, by the way. We're receiving a lot of phone calls from organizations wanting to figure out how to use the framework inside of our software for other types of programs. Whether that program allows writers to create their own writing modules that allows their students or clients to progressively work through those independently, or it's for students in school, or I've just really gotten so many phone calls. In fact, I had a call this morning with an organization who helps larger organizations, Fortune 500 companies, develop their leadership roles, and they want to use our software in that leadership role capacity, but they need to be able to change the content and just use the framework. So it's caused me to look at our software a lot differently, and I think that happens when you're an innovator. You have to be able to look at things from different angles. I mean, that's why you innovated in the first place. And so I think I ran after a niche market, but I'm realizing that there's others in the market who are going, you created something great for them, but it could be used for us as well. And so I am looking at those other industries and seeing how we can apply those things. But other than that, I'm kind of a George Jetson in my own right of mind. I look into the future and I think of ways to do things that are not happening today. So I come up with all these little creatives. And in fact, if you can see my cabinet behind me, I have about 60 plus inventions in there that I just kind of keep on cap until I can get to the revenue space to launch and start developing those things.
Good for you. Well, let's stay in touch. Dan Cunningham, are you finding acceptance for the cube?
Yes, we are. The technology's obviously growing and expanding and scaling, and similar to Carl's. We started in one space and now we're in 7 and continually get pushed into more edge cases. And we find ourselves actually having to put the brakes on and slow down and make sure we stay focused on, our core, in order to make sure we hit our goals and we hit, scalability in the direction we need. So you got to be very, very cautious because you can be led into, 50 different directions, all monetarily beneficial for everything. But inevitably, if you lose focus of your core, the model, could take a dive in a negative direction if you're trying to service too many directions.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Julie, what's new for you? I mean, I would think your business is booming.
We are booming right now. Being in online education for 2 decades now, we kind of have all of those kinks, worked out that a lot of the schools are facing right now. They're trying to figure out how they can take a curriculum and teachers that have been teaching in a bricks and mortar type of school setting, for the past 100 years, and they're trying to make it into a virtual setting and, having requirements where the students are on Zoom meetings for 4 or 5 hours a day. And so we really have that expertise to say, No, students don't need to be in Zoom for 4 or 5 hours a day. We have a strong digital curriculum where the students can do a variety of activities. They can, learn through reading, they can learn through video, they can learn through interactive activities. So there's a lot of different platforms that have really been perfected over the course of the last 20 years since online learning was in its infancy. So it's really great. There's a lot of interest in it right now because we have been the leader for the past couple of decades.
So I was happened to be online earlier today in prep for this, checking the wire services and all that as I play newsman occasionally. And in the Obama administration, or was it Clinton? I forget. Robert Reich, the professor, was talking about the new economy and what's going to happen post-COVID. And one of the things he was talking about, I'll make a long story short, was online learning, about how education has already changed and now it's just going to accelerate. And he was saying that there's has to be massive retraining, not only of the teachers but of parents and students, and how best to use this so that everybody has a computer and broadband is basically free as a national security thing, that everybody's got to have access to this somehow, and that's when online learning will take off.
Yeah, absolutely.
For everybody, not just for kids.
Mm-hmm. We've
Yeah.
we've always been under the assumption that online learning or learning from home is not for everyone. But right now, everyone is being forced into it because of the pandemic. And so that does mean massive retraining of thinking of how we do things, how we can connect with one another through without any actual face-to-face or touch, so that really takes a lot of training for the teachers. It takes a lot of kind of laying of the groundwork for the parents and the students as far as what expectations are and how we can all be successful in this new environment. And that's not just for teachers and students. That goes for corporations as well, who are training their employees to be productive from their home office. That's not inherent in everybody's skill set. So that takes a really big mind shift to be able to be successful in this new world.
Thank you so much for that. Mark, do you want to conclude? Yes, Brian, in just a sec.
Thanks. If I could just chime in on that
Yeah.
online learning. I've been a student at Arizona State University in the W.P. Carey School of Business for the last year and a half. I take classes on a regular basis. I'm in a class right now. I study sustainable economics. And I've gotten used to how online learning works firsthand, getting grades. And there's some good professors and there's some not so good professors. They're getting used to it. But in general, I am grateful for the opportunity to not have to go on campus. I have a limited time, but I still want to stay in school. But this works to my schedule of work and school wonderfully. And you don't have to sit on a Zoom call for 4 hours. You do the lectures that are pre-recorded and take tests and study, do your homework in your own time. And it's a wonderful way to go. Everybody should be online. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Mark.
Julie, as I heard you talking about your school and your software and what your group does, it made me think about a friend of mine, David Bradford. He actually lives in Utah, and he started his own company, and it's called Fluent World. And he created a software that takes people that are trying to learn various languages into, like, if it's Spanish, they're going to Americano, and all the languages is translated from English to Spanish. And it's an accelerated way of learning a language, and really fascinating service that he created. So I should get you two together. Maybe you guys can brainstorm.
That's great. Thank you, Mark.
And I also
go ahead. Go.
I just want to put a plug in for our golf tournament.
Yes, please.
we've got a pretty good crowd coming, but we don't have as many as we'd like. And I think part of that's due to COVID. But if you know anyone that's a golfer and that's anywhere near Southern California, tell them to get out to our tournament. We're going to announce our kind of unveil a new marketing strategy we have, a new logo, which I'm giving you a sneak peek of our new logo. But
Thank you.
by neuro health, and we got a different direction we're going. We're not going to be as specific on specific diseases, but be a little more general on chronic neurological diseases as a whole. So come golf with us. If you don't golf, come and have a good time anyways.
Yeah, so that's October 21, 22?
October 12th.
October 12th. All right. In Yorba Linda Country Club, right?
Beautiful course. Private.
All right, great. Well, I'll try to be there.
Okay.
So as we come to a close here, I'm reading some notes here about the Black Swan events that are going on right now and how a meeting like this could generate the antidote to the Black Swan events, sort of like a dose of resilience for us all, including our audience. So I'm going to read these 4 things that are going on. And if anyone wants to add another one, it's okay. Number 1, the virus and healthcare worries, the convergence with all the social issues, politics, business, everything's coming together at once. The economic damages caused by the virus, and the weather, climate change, the fires, hurricanes. All of these things are like crazy and really, really damaging. What else? What did I leave out, Carl?
I would, and maybe you said this and it went past me, but I'm going to say the mental change, the psychological change that we need to embrace going into the new now.
Good for you. Good. Daniel, you must have some spiritual thoughts here.
Yeah, there's a lot happening, Ed. You're right. And I think a lot of it comes down to really going within and searching for the answers. They're not really on the outside. My view on education is a little different than most. Thousands of years of teaching people the wrong things doesn't make it right. So for myself, I think if we go within, we can find the answers to a lot of the things that we're seeing out in the world today.
Go a little deeper.
That's right. That's right.
Julie?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I really like what Carlton said too, is it's really like this mental aspect right now. And I know that the mental health crisis is being brought up everywhere. I think it affects our young people. It affects our working class. It affects the elderly, especially the isolation that people feel right now. So not just the virus itself, but how are we finding purpose right now, and where are we connecting with others?
Thank you very much. All right. And Brian, our special guest, thank you once again, and Godspeed to all your inventions. What parting words do you have for us?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity today. But the world is changing. And interestingly, the pandemic has caused an acceleration of that change. I've heard through the last week with Rice Alliance and all the oil companies, they get it. They get it. There's an energy change. By 2050, this world's going to be a different place. And I hope we can all be around to watch it.
Amen. Well, let's do this again sometime. I'm sorry that Lynn and Nana couldn't join us. I got a message from Finland, from Nana, saying that it's already late there and her business meeting ran late and got to look after the kids. But she's certainly welcome to do it again. So thank you all. This program will be prepared for our YouTube channel in the next day or so. And I'll let everybody know. You'll get your own copy if you want. And I thank you. Dan, let's communicate after this. I'll send you a quick message. Carlton, thank you very much. Julie, I got a message from Chase. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Signing off.
Make it a great one.
Thank you all. Bye-bye. Thank you.